Welcome to Charts Today for Thursday, the 7th of May, and it's election day in the UK. So it'll be interesting to see whether that has an effect on UK markets, especially gilt markets. But first of all, I'll start by looking at the dollar index. When is this going to break? This is now a year-long trend. I just put those levels on there, between 95.50 and 150, that 5-point range on the dollar index. This is a really long sideways market. So when that break occurs, it will be significant. And quite interestingly, if we look at some of the currency moves, Japanese yen, we've seen this intervention from the Bank of Japan there. So that's really quite key. So we are seeing there the the key thing there is that we are seeing that move. I'll just take those levels off. And we see here the Russian ruble. So the dollar effectively buying less ruble. That target was given back in February at 96, and we're now at target of 72. We're now at 74. You can't ignore the targets. The Indian rupee, that has really touched that level, but at least has pulled back. But this is very inflationary for India, remembering that the dollar buys more rupee. It costs more rupee to buy the dollar, most affected by the Middle East crisis. South African rand has been a complete opposite story, and we have seen a little bit of resurgence there in the dollar against the rand, but actually the long-term trend is now really quite clearly down towards those targets. So rand, is actually looking quite strong. Looking at the yuan, and this is really quite key. This is the Chinese currency, and if we look at the weekly chart, that really is significant. A double top, very big long-term double top, and that's the Chinese currency getting stronger against the dollar buying less yuan, if you like. And the Aussie dollar, we're seeing that gaining strength against the US dollar. So the interesting thing is there we are seeing already the breakout of that trend. So there's the sideways trend, and that is breaking higher. So some currencies are already breaking. And if we look at the Aussie dollar against sterling, which is a rate I do watch quite a lot, you can see here that we are in that downtrend, Aussie dollar strengthening. Speculation that the Reserve Bank of Australia are going to raise rates, and we're waiting to see that. So really quite key there. Bitcoin looking strong on the medium-term chart, having crossed the cloud, starting to discount that downside target. When we look at the 60-minute chart, there are upside targets there as well. We're seeing the US stock markets looking strong. And that's really quite key. And if we look then at the NASDAQ, just pushing higher all the time. So really quite interesting. So that target there was given in April. This is the short-term 60-minute chart. This is on the future. Last week on the 30th, that target was given at 27.6 to 28.8. That's where we've got to, and we've got a new upside target. The data just filling in there. Looking at the DAX in Germany, quite interesting here that we are seeing upside targets there on the short term and a newly activated target on the daily chart. We haven't broken the range yet, but that's really significant that we've got a new upside target there, which has made me just think, let's have a look at the DAX constituents this morning for something different. So just going through the charts, and we can go through quickly on the medium-term charts. Adidas not looking so strong. What we're looking for is charts in an uptrend. That's looking like a potential breakout on Allianz. BASF is above the cloud and looking stronger. BMW not so strong. Bayer, we're looking for charts in uptrends, basically. There must be some because we've got charts breaking out. There's a little bit better. Commerzbank, very interesting there, looking like a break, not quite breaking resistance. Continental, just going through the charts until we find them. Daimler, not so sure. Deutsche Bank, not so strong either. So you have to say, where is the strength? So Deutsche Börse, that's got a new upside target. Deutsche Telekom, not so strong. Aeon, the energy company, client of ours, and so we can see here mixed targets, but bullish above the cloud still. Bearish there. bearish there. So really interesting that it's, even though the index is going higher, it's a case of finding where the performance is. New upside target not yet activated, downside target. Infineon, very strong performer there, meeting those upside targets. Really quite incredible there that's really pushed to those targets that were generated. Mercedes-Benz, so it just shows, even though the index is going higher, you still have to work hard to find those charts. Merck, MTU, Munich Re, the insurer, not looking great there. Porsche, again, not looking great. So it really is interesting that index is breaking higher, yet we've really struggling to find stocks. Now, I know RWE's one. The reason I know that's one is because on TradingView, I have that stock in here as well, another updated client. So really, that is bucking a trend. So one of the better looking performance. SAP, not yet looking great. Scout 24, not looking great. Siemens, looking strong. So it's really interesting that out of those 40 DAX stocks, there's a Siemens Healthcare not looking as strong. Siemens, the main company, looking a little bit better. Some Simrise, Volkswagen. So it's interesting that we've got a new upside target on the DAX, but we're struggling to find the performance. And it looks like RWE and Infineon are probably the better looking charts there. So it just shows. So going back to looking at the markets, Brent crude, we saw strength in Asia. We saw the Japan index up strongly on the cusp of making a new high there. Hang Seng up 1.5%. So we're seeing markets really shaking off the Middle East crisis and just saying there's going to be a result, basically. Looking at Brent crude, the range now is somewhere between 95 and 110 on Brent crude, 115 on Brent crude on the current contract. We're seeing gold looking a bit stronger again this morning. Upside targets there on the short-term chart, pushing higher. That target given on the cusp of yesterday already met. New upside target. You've just got to watch the targets. Remembering, of course, you can watch these targets in your TradingView. So that's also the place to see them. And then looking at silver, up another 3% this morning, starting to look like a low, a high, a higher low. Breaking there would be a higher high. And we look at the 60-minute chart, new upside target. So again, can't ignore that. We are seeing bond yields just pulling back, and we saw strong performance from the tech majors yesterday. Apple not quite making a new high. Amazon having met its target given a year ago, making a new high. Alphabet, new highs, upside target. Microsoft and Meta still not great. And if we look at Nvidia, interestingly there, we've activated we've got a new upside target, not yet activated. That will turn green with a new high. Will it activate? Go to the 60-minute chart. Not so likely just yet. Downside target given last week has been met. Got a new upside target, but we need to make a new high. That's why looking at the multiple time frames is important. Quick look at the Dow. Strong performance here from Walt Disney yesterday. That was very strong. New upside target there. Nvidia, which we've mentioned, was the second best performer there. Looking at the NASDAQ, AMD up nearly 19%. Huge move there yesterday. ARM, that's also moved much higher, breaking new high, having broken that range. And a quick look at the UK market, it's miners. And we look at the miners in the UK, we're seeing it's fresh low up 2%. EasyJet, they have still below the cloud, up today 2%, but not enough to really change the picture. Antofagasta up very sharply, so that's looking quite strong as well. That's it for today. Keep an eye on those trends and price targets. Until tomorrow, happy charting. Bye for now.